Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. And before I pass it on to you, I have to introduce you because you're joining here for the first time. And yes, you haven't given me a big bio data, which I will be keep complaining all the time. But whatever you have given, I'll be reading out that fully. The sister Tina is a PhD in plant genetics, and she's worked as a research scientist in an academic setting and practicing Raj Yoga for almost 25 years now. She currently serves at the Global Harmony House Center in Great Neck, and she loves to discover her inner strengths and apply these spiritual concepts to practical life, staying in dignity and in peace in all that she does. And I also asked her this question that do you want to share how you came into Brahma Kumaris? So she has shared that she was introduced to BKs in 1998, a long time ago. And by asking this one question, that is, would you like to make God your best friend? Her journey has started from there. And she says that indeed not knowing what that means, but she started there. And then she left that place wherever she had visited first with a lot of curiosity that how can God be your best friend? But then soon after a few months, she got connected back, and then there's no looking back on her journey. And eventually, she realized that though she was steadily progressing, but she realized her true potential in 2022. That's 2 years from now. And she decided to completely dedicate her life for humanity since then. So again, this is about her biodata. And again, a poem, as always, for our very Rajyogis, senior Rajyogis. Sister Tina, in her nature, is indeed very cooperative. That makes her everyone's favorite because of being supportive. In this world, when everyone's thinking has become so negative, she comes with the fragrance of values and asks everyone to be positive. People who by nature and behavior have become so disruptive, she comes and teaches us the art of how to be appreciative. Because over the years, on the journey of Raj Yoga, she's become so accommodative, which helps soul to realize their true potential, thereby making them productive. Due to climate change, the world weather has become so unpredictable. She tells us how to mold ourselves and become more adaptive. Our weaknesses sometimes overtake us and make us feel fugitive and captive, but the Supreme's energy and power helps us feel free and liberated. So with this, welcome Sister Tina, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, good evening. I don't know, different time zones, I believe, have joined. Thank you so much, Manoj Bhai and the team. And I hear that on Vihasa, you all are putting these points, the daily discourses points on how we can accommodate. And what I heard for 1 hour, I think you all are already up there. It's like you know everything. I don't know what I have to add more to that, but maybe some personal or some heard stories around it, which sometimes I feel inspires us a lot more than just knowing the knowledge points or aspects from the knowledge. So I was just thinking when you were saying that accommodation is more like a value, but then also sought after power. So sometimes we struggle between this question: is it a virtue? Is it a power? Is it a value? What is the difference, And so value and virtue, we use them as synonyms, right? And many times we understand a value is something that is given regard, something that is held to deserve our attention, deserve importance, deserve worthiness or usefulness for something. Or it is something which others can see in us, many a times they see in us. But if that virtue is not so much in action, then people might not see it. It can remain hidden at times. Sometimes people will appreciate it that, oh, you have this quality, you have this value, but they don't necessarily feel that they also can possess that value. On the other hand, when I was thinking that how any virtue can actually, when it's practiced over a long period of time, can become a power. And any power has this ability to actually then bring in many different qualities, many different values. And so, as a power, I was thinking that it is something, if you say that it's a power to accommodate, there's something that cannot remain hidden.
Sorry,
Power,
sister.
you
Sorry
can
to
hear.
sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can hear. But I'm getting messages from translators that please ask her to decrease the speed because there are.
Oh, okay.
Sorry for
Sure,
that.
sure, sure. I'm so sorry. Yeah, sure. So I was just saying that how any virtue, when it is practiced over a long period of time, and it can have the ability to then become a power. So, like I was saying, virtue can sometimes be seen and sometimes you appreciate it and sometimes it remains hidden. But a power is something that cannot remain hidden. A power is something that is constantly a source of inspiration to others, right? Power is something that can enable others to change. It can give them, the power to change, the power to be who they are and make them powerful or empower others, like sometimes we hear in our teachings. Now, one of the things that we also mention about accommodation is that it means to just let be, right? Let be. And majority of the times I feel sound is low. I don't know how to increase. This is the maximum sound.
Okay. No, no, it's fine. I think people's devices are low, but it's
Okay.
all good. I'm sure it's
Oh,
all good. Everyone is saying yes. Yeah.
okay. So, majority of the times I feel that we have the power of accommodation, and especially if the situation is certain. Let's say, for example, we know, oh, it can rain anytime. Like when I came to USA first, anytime it would rain. And first I was like, what is this? It used to shock me and surprise me. There is no rainy season. But if you are in India, then there is a rainy season. From June, July, August, you expect that rains will be there and you will always carry an umbrella and a raincoat and you're fine. But here, any time it would rain. And now, if you ask me, does rain bother me? No, because I've accommodated it. It's like I've normalized myself to that particular situation, right? And it's normal now. Similarly with COVID, it started and everyone was like little bit. But later, after 2 years, everything was normalized. It was so normal to wear the mask and to wear the protection or whatever. So similarly, sometimes when we say, oh, there is little less salt in the food or there is no electricity today, we have normalized to these kinds of situations, right? And so it definitely means that we have the power of accommodation. However, there are still certain challenges that come in front of us wherein we need accommodation not only as a virtue or a value that can sometimes be seen and sometimes remain hidden, but we need it as a power. We need it all the time acting out, right? And challenges could be like someone was saying, I accommodate with myself, right? I accept myself. So first thing that we have to accommodate is our own nature. Many a times we feel when we see our own weaknesses that I don't like myself. I'm not able to accept this about myself. But when I am able to understand myself, then I'm able to accept myself. Similarly, there could be challenges that are coming from outside, negativity of others, and especially, they become like mirrors in front of us. They tell us who we are, what we are, where we are, how much work still needs to be done, and what is our potential, what we can become, right? So there is again that challenge sometimes that I have to accommodate with the negativity that is around me. And the third thing, sometimes we also say that the challenges can come in the form of financial, right? Finances. So sometimes the expenses are way more than the incoming thing or the intake that's happening. Or sometimes the intake is very high, but then there is no generosity of the heart internally that I would want to share that abundance with everyone else. I would feel like I want to also give out them. So that is also a challenge. Then people will judge and people will say things. Or sometimes I feel that the challenge could be with our bodies, with our health. And it's incredible. Sometimes I feel how any little thing happens to our body and it instantly affects our thinking pattern. It instantly affects the thoughts that are generated, the words that emerge, and the actions that we perform. I'm sure some of you must have arranged flowers, right? I have this duty here where I have to arrange flowers for Thursday morning sometimes. And, the rose that we buy are those big ones with long stem and thick thorns. And we try to remove each thorn before we put them in the offering tray. And sometimes those thorn prick. They're such tiny thorns, but the thorn pricks so bad. Little prick of that thorn completely haywires your thoughts, and now it ruins your experience of preparing those flowers. It ruins your experience for the rest of the day. You are no longer able to see the beauty of those flowers, but you are just cribbing about those thorns, right, that are pricking you. And so, what is happening in that moment? I was just checking myself, and you create thoughts that are distracting you from your original, aspect that you want to see the beauty of the flowers, you want to arrange them properly. And so, you can call them as compromised thoughts, or you can call them as distracted thoughts, or you call them as repetitive thoughts. God, these thoughts are going to prick me. And all of these are waste thoughts or unnecessary thoughts, thoughts that pull me away from my true original nature. So let's say, for example, my nature is to be gentle, my nature is to see goodness in others. But now, because of these distracted thoughts, right? Because of these waste negative thoughts, sometimes it takes me away from my pure self. It takes me away from my original self. It takes me away from who I am. So in that moment, it's like I forget. And because I forget, it's like I'm no more a knowledgeable soul. It's not being sensible in that moment when I am having all those distractive and compromised thoughts, right? When I know that I should have pure and positive thoughts, right? So this is the mind playing games with us. This is the illusion that the mind is always creating. And so that's why how much longer I want to play that game, of creating compromised thoughts or creating redundant thoughts or creating waste thoughts. And so we say there is no control in that moment when the challenge comes suddenly, especially, when it's uncertain and you are surprised by that challenge. You didn't think somebody would say that to you. And there is no power of accommodation in that moment, right? You're off guard, caught. And so, what I really love about the teachings of the Brahma Kumaris, of the Raj Yoga meditation, is that it's a meditation that helps us to transform. It's not just relaxation. It's not just feeling good. It's not just becoming calm, but it's actually helping me to bring about that transformation within. I want to transform myself. And I can really have these kind of transformational behavioral responses if I am aware that I am a sentient being, that I am a spiritual being, a being of energy that is not just spreading uncontrolled way, but I am in my control. I have the control. I am the master. I have that self sovereignty, if you will, right? And so Raj Yoga meditation helps us to bring that virtue at the forefront or that value in our practical lives, right? Manoj Bhai was mentioning about Dadi Prakashmani, and I didn't think of saying about the story, but I just remembered, and so I just want to start with that story. One time there was this, you might know, some of you, that Dadi used to live in Madhuban, right, in the headquarters of the Brahma Kumaris in Mount Abu, Rajasthan. And there are a lot of brothers there who are surrendered. They live there. So there was this one brother who was very new. He had recently dedicated his life. And so he went to one department. He was assigned one department. And the brothers didn't like him, so they sent him to another department. So he went to another department. And the brothers were not happy with him there either. So they sent him to the third department. So he slacked there. He was tired. He was bored. He was not doing what he was supposed to do. So they sent him to the fourth department, and they moved him through many departments. I don't remember the exact number. But eventually, all of them, along with this brother, they came to Dadi with all their complaints. Dadi, this brother is like this brother is like that, this brother is not doing anything, he slacks, he's always, So Dadi is quietly listening. And then Dadi told to all the brothers, I am sorry. I apologize on his behalf. I will talk to him in front of that brother. I will talk to him and I will try to find out if there is something that I can help him with. So Dadi is asking you to give him one chance, and Dadi will talk. Now imagine what will happen to that brother, right? When Dadi talked with that brother, he just said, Dadi, I will do everything. You will not get any complaint from me. He was humbled, he was touched, he was moved by Dadi's gesture, and suddenly everything just changed because Dadi accommodated all his weaknesses into herself, right? She did not start, oh, you are like this, you're like that, you're this, you're... No, she didn't go into that, right? And instantly you saw that the brother transformed, and the brother is still there in Madhuban. So this is long time back, right? The story is maybe 20 years back. But what I'm trying to say is that sometimes when we talk about the power of appreciation or the power of accommodation, it it is basically the ability to respond. And you take that responsibility. But the meditation part of it helps you to take that responsibility so that you can have a proper response in the given moment, at the given time, in the right place, at the right moment, right? So your power of accommodation will shape your response. That's what I'm saying. Your power of accommodation will shape your response to people, to situations, to the world, whatever is happening. Some questions were brought about world situations, political situations, or home situations, job situations, but wherever you have to respond. But how do you know how to respond, right? And like I was saying, there are many stories and many analogies used, some of which you already mentioned. But one example is given of water, right? We also say accommodation means going with the flow. You're flowing with the flow. And so water has this ability, whichever container you put it in, whether it is a jar, whether it is a mug, whether it's a cup, whether it is a big container, whatever, it will instantly take up that form of that container. It's not going to fight with the container, right? It will take up that form. It will adjust according to the shape of the container, and yet it remains true to its original self. So that kind of flowing with the flow or flexibility allows the water not to become stuck. And we say this for rivers also, right? The rivers will flow, and as they flow, they will find their path. But the reason they're able to find their path is because they're able to, go along, flex themselves, maneuver themselves, find their way around And if they have to take some garbage or dust or whatever with them, they will carry all of that. And then they say they will dump it into the ocean. And then you say the ocean has the power to accommodate, because the ocean will never judge. Oh, I want water from this river. The water is salty in this river. The water is sweet in this river. The ocean never says that. So the ocean will take water from all the rivers. And yet, the ocean is very intelligent, right? The ocean doesn't keep it in itself. It will throw to the shores. So what it means is that I am taking in all, but at the same time, I'm not letting it touch my heart. I'm not absorbing anything to the memory track of the soul. Because once anyone's behavior or anyone's words or anyone's, act goes and touches your memory track, your subconscious mind, then suddenly you no longer are able to remove it from there. It's hard. You can, but it's hard. So it's better to observe and, take it in, but at the same time, not to absorb it. That is power of accommodation. When we go to the doctor's office, and sometimes you see there are some patients who have a lot of health problems and a lot of different reasons they're there. Now, if a patient comes to the doctor, can a doctor ever tell to the patient that, oh, you have a lot of health problems, I don't want to see you. Why do you come here? How am I going to treat you? Can't you take care of your health? Oh, the doctor will accommodate, no, whatever he is and however he is, and then he will help. Who else will help him? Doctor has to help, right? So that is like having the power of accommodation, that, okay, this is his behavior. He's not able to take care of his health. So let me do whatever I can, right? So what we see that sometimes, in life also, there is one other thing that happens is there are sometimes we really want something. Let's say in your life also, you can remember a time when you really wanted a job, or you felt you really wanted this relationship to work for you, or you felt that I really want to get into this study, I need this admission into this university, and everything else will become perfect in my life. Everything will fall in place, everything will work right. I just need to get in there. But you feel that, if you don't get it, then you feel, oh, I would have gotten this, I should have done this, could have done this. So this should have, could have, would have, these things actually tell us that if you are going through that kind of phase where you're always thinking, I should have done this, or I could have, or I would have, then that means it's really time to embrace this value of accommodation. We need this power of accommodation. I'll give you an example. There was this old couple who called one time at the center, and they were visiting their daughter's home, and they couldn't find the daughter anywhere. So they called. And then they are looking, so they actually did ask the son-in-law about their daughter, but the son-in-law is saying, you find out. I don't know where she is. So they are trying to reach her, but she's not picking up the call. So they call because the center knows the whole family. So they call at the center and they told the sister, can you please call her, because she will pick up your call. She's not taking our call, but she will pick up your call. And so the senior sister called her and she asked her, what's happening? You're not picking up the call of your parents. Your parents are down waiting for you. And she said, yeah, I am in my room and I don't want to go down. I'm not going to go down. And there is this whole, the in-laws are celebrating their 50th anniversary or something like that. So the whole family has gotten together. There are friends, relatives, everybody is at home. And now this girl is saying, I will not go down. So the sister told her, you have to go down. And she's saying, no, but this man, she's referring to her husband. And she's saying, this man, he fought with me and he said such nasty things to me. And so I'm not going to go down. So the sister is telling her, no, no, you should go down. Later on, you can resolve it, whatever it is, misunderstanding, or you can talk about it later. And she's saying, I cannot do acting. I cannot act like being a good daughter-in-law or being a good wife or, being a good person. This is how I'm feeling, and I'm not going to entertain anyone. So the sister said, no, you have to go down. Everybody is waiting, and whatever you're feeling, it's right or it's wrong, that's fine, but you can talk about it later when there is time. This is the time to accommodate. It's not your acting, you're accommodating, you're using your power to accommodate, and then you will, talk about it later. So basically, what we are trying to say here is like, you don't throw your problem or your behavior around and then make people think about it that, oh, she's locked up in the room, or oh my God, she's not doing well with these people, or oh my God, she's very moody. So you're not giving others this feeling of discomfort or making them look into your mess. You don't have to throw your mess around, right? But you have to accommodate. You have to know that when you make clear and visible to others your behavior, that means you don't have power to accommodate, right? If your behavior is seen by the whole world, right, outsiders especially, then it tells something about your own weakness, your own power is not working. And yeah, it's fine that you see something as right and you see something as wrong, and you can get it out of your system later on. But in that moment, you cannot let it become so heavy on you that you're not able to do the right thing. And there's a saying, kings don't cry in public, right? Doesn't mean kings don't have sorrow, right? But it's just that it's not going to help. What is the benefit of doing that? If I let the whole world know, who is going to help me? Are they really going to help me? Are they really going to sympathize with me? No. So in that moment, I need this power of accommodation. And I come from a big joint family. So my grandparents, my uncles, aunts, and all of them used to live together. And I have seen my grandmother's behavior with my mom, and my mom's behavior with my grandma was not very good, But whenever I used to go out with my mother, or whenever I used to go out with my grandmother, they both behaved like nothing happened. I never saw my mom saying anything bad about my grandmother in an outside gathering. And I never saw my grandmother talking anything bad about my mother. So one time I had a very good relation with both of them, my mother and my grandmother. And I told my grandmother one time, what is this? At home, you're like cats in it, and outside you are like so sweet. And she said, yeah, we are at home, so we can sometimes, share and do what we want to. But outside, we don't have to take our mess outside. And that's the early childhood days that I learned this power of accommodation is so important, because it keeps the family intact. It keeps the whole unit together, And it also tells us that you need a lot of maturity. So each power has the ability to bring many virtues. Power of accommodation, first very important virtue that is visible, is the virtue of maturity. If you are a mature person, you will be able to accommodate. Excuse me. And it also means that you are wise. You have a lot of wisdom. One of the signs that you have power of accommodation, how will you know? So they say that people will come to such people to ask for advice. They will ask you. They will not know what all you have gone through, but somehow they will feel like you will give them the right advice. And so they ask you for advice, they ask you for, suggestions. So that is one of the signs of being, full of wisdom, to know what to do at the right time, in the right moment, right? There is also this another story of a king. Some of you might know, I believe. This king used to visit his kingdom's marketplace every day during the evening hours. And whoever is not able to sell their stuff by evening after trying hard, then the king would buy it so that they can earn something, right? So one day he's in that marketplace and he sees a man is trying to sell his dolls, but he's unable to. So then the king goes to him and asks, "What is the price of these dolls?" And then he says, he says, one is $10, second is $100, and the third one is $1,000. And so he is like, they look the same. So why the difference? And so he takes a thread and he puts the thread through the ears, and the thread comes out from the other ear. And then this is the first doll. He takes the second doll, he puts the thread through one ear, and the thread comes out from the mouth. Even though there is hole in the ear, it comes out from the mouth. And then the third doll, he puts the thread from one ear, and the thread never comes out. It goes into the stomach. So he says that they all three teach us different things. The first one is you listen to everything, you take in everything, but then you don't remember anything. It's like you listen, but you don't listen. The second one is like you have taken in, but you've never applied anything. But the third one is you've listened, you've understood, you have internalized it, you have absorbed it, and you have made it part of you. So power of accommodation is like that. We hear a lot about it and we understand the significance of it and we know what are the benefits of it. We have all the knowledge in the world about this accommodation, right? But then how much have I internalized it? How much have I absorbed it? How much have I made it part of me that no matter what, it's not going to just not work for me, right? Anytime I need the power to accommodate, it will work for me. So if I have the power of accommodation, suddenly the value increases from $10 to $1,000, right? So it's like the ability to merge into your reservoir of experience, whatever you are experiencing in that moment, and then you move on. You add it to your experience, you move on. You add it to your experience, you move on. But you don't get stuck there. Right? One of the things my mom used to say early when I was learning to cook, she used to say, if you don't know anything, just use potato and add it to any vegetable. And I'm like, what? she told me that this is the one, vegetable that has unlimited power of accommodation. It can work with any other vegetable. So I was like, wow. So it's like you are merging with others and you're becoming something more beautiful, right? Something more delicious. And so it's like I'm upgrading my vision of others, that I can accommodate with them, I can work with them, I can merge their ideas, I can merge their thoughts or their desires, and then we can together create something more beautiful. When you look at the face also, there is so much power of accommodation in this face. Otherwise, somebody could say, oh, why 2 ears and one nose? Why not one eye and one nose and one? But the face is accommodating all of that. And it's like the power of complementarity, power of being together, power of working together. So that is what I feel is accommodation also. Sometimes you just work with everyone and you see how beautiful life becomes. Although I know one time someone said that living in a group is a challenge. And especially those of you who are married, you would know that living with just one person sometimes can be a big deal, right? Now, at the centers, you see we are living with 8 sisters or 5 sisters. They come from different cultures, different backgrounds, different ages, different generations. And yet, there is this power of accommodation. If it is working the right way, then essentially it helps the relationships to grow. We begin to understand each other, we begin to respect each other, and we begin to blend in different personality and different types of people. And that's how the environment at the center begins to flourish. The vibrations begin to attract others, right? When they see how beautifully you're working together, right? So what I'm trying to say here is that accommodation has many different aspects. One is, of course, you're merging. And in the case of the daughter-in-law example, you sometimes have to forgive and forget and move on and then deal with it later if need be. But otherwise, sometimes, you know, you just have to forget. You just have to forgive and you just have to move forward. It's the ability to live in the present more than so living in the past. But I heard Sister Rena was sharing that you shouldn't allow people to take disadvantage of you either, right? You have to also have limit and understand, because sometimes when power of accommodation is taken too far, it is the power where I can respond differently to the different knocks or different things that are coming, different arrows that are being shot at me. But at the same time, if I take it too far, right? If I take it too far, then I can become a person who is expert at people pleasing. I can become someone who is accommodating anything and everything, and there is no self-respect. So I do need to create boundaries. I do need to create, I do need wisdom as to where and how and when, because otherwise we also have the power to face in our, bucket of powers that we talk about in the teachings of Brahma Kumaris, right? So power of accommodation is important, but sometimes power to face is also important. And they give an example of a snake. Some of you might know that there was this village, and right outside the village there was this snake, and he used to live in his home. And the snake, anytime anyone would pass by or anytime anyone would come, the snake would bite them. So they call a learned pandit or a hermit or someone who can control the snakes, basically. And this man comes and he controls the snake and he tells the snake that you cannot bite anyone. And somehow, this is a story, the snake listens and the snake is now not biting anyone. So what happens, anytime anyone is coming in the village, they hit a stone. Anytime anyone is leaving the village, they hit this stone to the snake. So after a few months, the learned hermit, he comes back, he's passing by the same village. So he goes in the village, and when he's going inside, he sees the snake, and he sees the snake is in a very bad condition. Lot of bruises, lot of hurt marks, lot of, limping, not able to stand properly, not able to crawl properly, barely living. So he says, what happened to you? You were so powerful, you were so strong. What happened to you? And then he said, well, you told me not to bite, to accommodate with everyone. And then, yes, I did, but I didn't say that you cannot hiss, right? He could have hissed, and then the people would get afraid. He's not fighting, but he could hiss, and then they would run away, right? They would not hurt him, no? So definitely, we don't want to become people pleasers, or we don't want to be someone who's trampled over and like a doormat, anyone comes and says anything, not like that. But at the same time, maintain my self-respect. To practice self-respect is the biggest practice that you can do to have this power of accommodation. If I don't have good self-respect, anyone says a little small thing and it will keep pricking me. And I'll keep repeating it again and again and again. The whole conversation I will repeat 10 times in my mind. But if I have a good self-respect and I see myself in my true home, then no matter what someone says, it will not influence me. It will not affect me, right? And I will understand that, when to say what. But if I am constantly resisting to what has happened, then that is futile effort. Resistance to the past, resistance to what has happened is not going to help me. It actually just hurts me more if I am just resisting, right? So, what we also say sometimes is that we have to understand that when something has happened, then it has happened. My question that I need to ask myself is what I can do now, right? And one of the teachings in the Brahma Kumaris is that if somebody does wrong to you or says wrong to you, it does not give you permission to do wrong. It does not give you permission to behave in the wrong way, right? Two wrongs don't make it right. Hmm? So if I use my knowledge, if I use my wisdom, if I use my power, then I can actually help them to get rid of their negativity and also empower them to become more positive. So one last thing that I want to share is that one more thing that can help us to increase our power is to constantly ask myself, how many can I find place for or room for in my heart, in my mind, in my house? So that's like power of accepting, power of accommodating, adapting to circumstances, and making the most of what I have in a practical way. I remember because we were a joint family, all our rooms were always full. We used to sleep like 5 people in the same room. And then when the guest would come, sometimes they come unknowingly, we don't know, like they come suddenly. So we used to give our beds to them and we used to sleep on the floor. But that was power of accommodation, right? We didn't make noise, we didn't say anything. We just understood and we just behaved in the right way. And so my dad always used to say that we have big heart, we should be big hearted. And he's very good at hospitality. I'm nowhere close to him, but he is very big hearted and he will welcome everyone and he will. So sometimes I feel I should learn, just get inspired by him and see how I can also increase my capacity to that extent. Because Global Harmony House is a place where every day there is a guest, almost every day. We have visitors, we have guests, we have people stopping by because New York is like the main, place where people stop and they are going to some other country, they will stop. But also Moini Didi is here, so many people want to see her, so they just come. So one time I had this thought, how much, why so many guests? Too much. And then I said, it's okay. I will do whatever is in my capacity and I will leave what I am not able to do. But at the same time, I will make sure that I can keep on increasing my capacity. However, no matter whatever is my capacity, I'm not going to crib about it. Because even if I say why so many guests, the guests are not going to stop coming. Nothing is going to change, as that is not in our control, right? So then I had to change my thought. I had to change that no matter who comes, they should just have good experience. I should be good with them, and that's all the part that I have to play. So sometimes you have to work with your thoughts. And for me, my personal experience says working with your thoughts is the best place that you can work with, because that's the only thing that is in your control. And once you work with your thoughts, then suddenly things change. And honestly, they do change, So last thing that I want to cover is the different virtues that come with the power to accommodate. We already saw that you need big-heartedness, you should be, mature, you need maturity, there should be wisdom that will automatically come when you have this power. There is openness, right? There is understanding. You are merciful if you're able to accommodate others' mistakes or others' weaknesses. You have the ability to listen what they're saying, and there is flexibility, there is respect for everyone around you, and that's why you are able to accommodate with them, right? There is humility and there's integrity, right? That means you're not a people pleaser. You are true to yourself. You know yourself, and you're coming from that space. So these are some of the qualities, and I feel integrity and maturity are really the foundation. And of course, all the virtues are beautiful, but if you can at least pick up some and then work with that, then that helps. So my first practice that I would do for myself if I want to increase this power, which I'm doing since 1 month actually now, more focused effort on this accommodation, is to have internal thought buttons. Internal thought buttons means as soon as something happens, that button should be pushed, right? I was listening to actually sister the class that you shared, Manoj Bhai, earlier, and she was saying that these days you don't even have to, not this one, maybe by Hansa Ben, that these days you don't even have to press the button. You don't have to, what was it? You don't have to open the lock with the key. You just have to push the button and the lock opens. So similarly, I don't have to use the key to open or the treasure store of my powers and then get the power of accommodation. But I simply have to push a button of a particular thought. You have to find that anchoring thought. You have to find that thought button that would instantly come into picture as soon as you need the power. It could be like, for example, I'm a benevolent soul. I have to bring benefit. So as soon as you push this thought button, then in that moment, when you are in the situation, you will not be reactive, or you will not speak like how they are speaking, or you will not do how they're doing, but you will be able to accommodate because you're saying, I am a benevolent soul. This is one example, but you can think like that. You can churn for yourself. What can be other, uh, thought buttons that you can push, and instantly the power to accommodate comes into action. And I'm accommodating for my own peace of mind, right? I'm doing this because then later on, they play cards, and how they play cards, you throw two, and then somebody will throw four, and then somebody will throw eight, and then the game continues. And how long? So if I say something, and then you say something, and then I say something, and then you say something, and then I say something that I should have not said, I will be the one who will end up apologizing, even though I didn't start it. So why should I reach that place? So it's better not to start the game, not to, do it, because then I lose my peace. And then for those who are already practicing the BK teachings, they have deep understanding of karma philosophy. So if you understand the karma philosophy, then you know that no matter what someone is doing or saying or being, your karmic account is your responsibility. So when I keep this in my mind, then it helps me to not be reactive, but to take the proper, responsibility for my responses. So that's what I feel is accommodation. It's a very beautiful power. And doing this exercise for this session, Manoj Bhai, it really helped me to see where all I need to work on myself and how much more potential I have to actually increase this power within me so that I can really, you know, um, be good instrument of God. So with that, we'll stop here and maybe we do some meditation if we have time, or what is the next step?
A bit of time and wonderful. Thank you so much. Yes, whatever you shared was all from your heart. And it showed that since I told you the topic, since that time you have been working on that value. It's wonderful. Like, it's amazing that what you were sharing was really coming out. It showed that you were practicing that over the last 1 month. There are a few questions. The first question is about, you remember you spoke about the daughter-in-law that she was stuck up in the room. She said, I don't want to go out. And
Yeah.
she was holding. So there's a question that if we hold on, the thing was she was wanting not to go down. And you said that, yes, you should sometimes make sure that you hold on your feelings. And for the people, you just go down because you're a daughter-in-law of the family, a typical Indian setting, if you can consider that.
Hmm.
So someone is saying if you hold on your feelings for a long time inside, then it creates sickness in the body. So
True.
how do
That is true. So I didn't mean that you hold on to it for a long period of time. What I meant is that you just wait for the right opportunity to talk to your husband. And then you can have a conversation with him, and then you can talk to him and tell him that these words were not right that you used for me. Please, it would be nice if we don't use this kind of vocabulary or whatever it is. I don't know the details, but I'm just saying you find the right time to have a conversation and not, take that as the final thing and judge that person and then don't behave the way you should behave,
Yes,
right?
great. People are really inspired by you being a PhD. And there's a direct question on your personal journey. I just ask you
Mhm.
because one is asking that, can you please ask Sister Tina to share her personal life journey, that what inspired her to surrender her life fully for humanity after achieving such a big PhD degree? And how do you deal with yourself when you're alone along with
Uh,
that?
I like to be alone. I'm always surrounded with people. You know what you want, you don't get that in the same situation. I like to be alone. I like to have my own time, but I'm always surrounded with people. So, the question about my PhD, I never wanted to do a PhD, to be honest. I came in knowledge when I just passed my 10th grade. So after my 12th grade, I had a realization and I felt that this is the path. And I went to my, whoever was the center coordinator at the time, I went to her and I said, I want to surrender. And she said to me just 3 months back, this is in 2000, 3 or 4 months back, a letter has been issued from the headquarters that no sister can surrender unless and until she's a graduate. So you need to get minimum graduation degree in order for you to surrender. And so I did my graduation. Then the things changed a little bit on the way. And I tried to surrender, but every time something or the other happened. And even after getting that's a very long story. So I really won't have time to go into the details of that. But even after getting my PhD, I came here, I messaged Moini, I said, I want to surrender. And she said, well, you've already taken admission. You first finish this. Then when I finished, I went to her again, I want to surrender. And she said, well, you have finished PhD, please do some work. You should get, you should do some job. So I had to work for a certain number of years. And then also I saw nobody's doing anything here. So then I gave her like a final email. I wrote to her, I'm going back to India. I'm sure I will be able to do something there full time. And I don't need to wait any longer. And in that same night, she actually called me. She said, don't make any decisions like that. Wait, you're needed here. We need you here. And so we will work out something. And then COVID came. So things changed again. And I couldn't surrender. This was in 2019 that I wrote to her. I remember very clearly. It was 10th of December 2019. And she wrote to me and she's making plans for me now. And then we were supposed to meet in Madhuban. And then COVID came and things changed and I couldn't surrender. So I had to work more. And then in 2022, things just happened. And in my case, it's always been like that, that drama has always taken the charge and things have happened according to drama. And so I feel that God's plan is always working for me. Always it's his plan that is working. And so I have a lot of trust in drama, and I feel that everything happens at the right time. So yeah, I don't feel lonely for sure. Even when I stayed alone in the apartment, I don't feel lonely at all. I saw Baba as my husband. I saw Baba as my companion, as my Valentine, all relationships I have experienced with Baba. So I don't feel lonely at all. But when we talk about US, we say US is the land where freedom is the utmost important value. When we talk about the East, especially India, we say belongingness is the most important value of East. So there was that contrast that definitely I saw, where in India, there is no privacy. Everybody knows everything about your life, right? And so, but the sense of belonging, the sense of care, the sense of, feeling one was always there. Whereas in US, there is freedom, but at the same time, there is no real sense of, being cared or whatever. Of course, if Baba is there, you feel that Baba is directly taking care of you. Baba is directly working with you. And now, since I've started to stay at the center, I feel that I'm back to that same situation where there is no privacy, there is no, nothing is like private. Dadi Janki used to say, ours is nothing private. So I feel the same thing, that everything is kind of open, but it's good. I am happy where I am. Yeah.
Great, and that too at International Coordinating Center, like we must say that, I mean, that's the hub of US, New York, great
Yeah.
hub,
So
great name.
yeah, one other thing is that I did PhD because in plant genetics, because I felt I always since childhood wanted to do something that is sustainable for humanity. From childhood, I wanted to do something for humanity. And so I felt that going into agriculture, into plants will help me to, reduce this food problem or the agriculture problem, and will help me to actually help humanity in a more sustainable way. But then I also learned in science, the science is always changing. I solve one question, 10 questions will come up. And the applied part of it comes in quite late. So then I thought I don't have that much time. I want to do something that's really sustainable and more obvious. And so that's why I had a very strong thought in 2019 that this is enough now. I've done a lot of science, I've done a lot of research now, so finally it manifested in 2022. Yeah. Because
Okay,
when we are in Baba's home, when we are at the center, it helps us to help others. And that is the biggest, feeling of achievement, if you will, that you get when you help others. Yeah.
right. So
Thank you.
wonderful for sharing your personal journey. And let me also add to it. I know Sister Tina because she's a Puneite, I mean, from Pune. And I know it's a big family, as she already has shared, but a few more other things which you need to know. It's a family of three sisters. All three are surrendered in one way. The second one is in the UK. I'm not telling any names. And the third one is also a dentist working full time as a dentist. And she also is almost surrendered at one of the centers in Pune, India itself. So there you are. It's a big family of surrendered sisters. Okay, so now I'll request Sister Claudia to please propose the vote of thanks. Over to you. Thank you.
Om Shanti. I'm talking from UK, so I'm in a different time zone. So enjoy here the retreat place for teachers. So the power to accommodate when we are in different places is necessary, and it was very nice to hear from you all your wisdom about this power. Yeah, especially when you say you should not say should, not could. Those when should be like that, have done like that. That shows that our power of accommodation is not that great. So whatever comes is because it's good for us, and then we have to work around until we get done, but without suffering or not getting hurt inside, like you said. Even if otherwise, the doctor is going to show you your pain and your not accommodate is going to be showing in your body, and such is one way or the other one. But it's nice to hear from you all the for us. So it's quite nice to see your possibility to share all your wisdom with us. And thank you for being with us today. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Sister Claudia. And sorry you cut off a bit, but it's fine. We could understand your in the end, it was quite okay. Yeah, so I'm sorry we are running a bit late, Sister Tina. We'll just take 5 more minutes. I'm sorry for that. I know you're in the Rakhi program. I'll just quickly do the announcements and then we'll go ahead with the meditation, the closing meditation. And in the meantime, as I'm sharing, just wanted to remind people who have joined newly for the first time, if you're interested to be a part of these workshops and the value episodes, please feel free to share your WhatsApp numbers in in the chat box to everyone. And if you're not comfortable to everyone, then you can please send it to Sister Vidhi, starting with V Vidhi. So let's quickly see what is the next. As you remember in the talk, Sister Tina mentioned about integrity, which is closely linked with the power of accommodation. So there you are. We have the next episode 97 on that. Our speakers have changed again the Divine Drama Plan. So we have two beautiful senior Rajyogis from the land of Brazil. So it will be a nice Portuguese fun we'll have. Saturday, 17th August, Sister Luciana, she's been with us many times, who's the national coordinator of BKs in Brazil. And Sister Juliana, who is from Minas Gerais. I hope I'm saying it right. Sister Claudia and Brother Manuel, you all please correct it. That's where Sister Juliana is now instrumental for service. Before she was in Sao Paulo. And as always, again, the workshop after that will be with Brother Golu, who's from Bjansarovar in Mount Abu, a German by body that way, and Sister Sonia Olsen. She is the coordinator at Denmark, and both of them are actively involved in the United Nations climate change initiative of Brahma Kumaris as well. So they work closely on that, and they'll tell us during the workshop on their thoughts about integrity. That will be the week after on 24th August. And not to forget 25th August, this time it's a Sunday. And we always end with a silence retreat. And it's wonderful. Again, it's Dadi Prakashmani's day. And we'll be doing it on accommodation, the value which we are covering today. So please join in for that as well. This is our elegant calendar. We'll be sending it to you in the emails, which we forward usually after the workshops with all the review materials. So keep a look at that as well. And these are the playlists, which will come to you again in the PowerPoints. And you can feel free to visit our YouTube channel, which is vihasaindia.in, and the Vancouver is vancouver.brahmakumaris.ca. And these are our email addresses. Feel free to share your thoughts, comments, and feedback. So with this, I'll just stop sharing and over to, before that, people have started automatically opening their cameras. So it's a routine for us now, Sister Tina. You'd be wondering why they are opening their video cameras now. You felt maybe for Drishti, that's one thing good, but they also want to be clicked for the photograph. So yes, if I can request Sister Garima to do that. So it's 2 in 1. So we'll be clicking, and also make sure you all take the Drishti and the powerful vibration also. Don't switch off your videos during the meditation. Yeah, so Sister Garima, over to you. And Vidhi sister, there are some new numbers coming to you. Please note them. And so is it done? So can we proceed with the meditation?
I'm just going to play, Manoj bhai. It's 2-3 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
It's okay, right?
Yeah, you want to play? Sorry, what? I didn't get you.
I will play the commentary. It's just 3 minutes.
Problem. Perfect. Yeah, you're sharing your sound. Yeah.
The power to accept. I visualize the swirling of a turquoise energy. It's as if I feel great relief. I experience this energy like the power of water in a river that flows within me. As it flows, it sweeps away everything that prevents me from being authentic, free and complete. What has been painful or has made me feel unhappy. But as with water in the hands, it's gone. I accept all which has happened to me or will happen will be lived this way. Nothing is permanent. Everything has a cycle. There is a beginning, a climax, and an end, which allows me to rise again and learn from the situation. All of us are actors in an endless play. Each actor has a role to play. Therefore, I accept with wisdom what may happen, and consequently accepting that all has to flow. My character, my transformation, those with whom I relate, what surrounds me. Everything has its own rhythm, and a very profound attitude of authentic respect for myself appears. For those who surround me, for what's going on. Because although I may not believe it, everything happens for the best. And then acceptance fills me with trust, with confidence, with assurance, even when I would otherwise feel unsafe and uncertain. My steps are strong from the flow of my own being, and I see beauty and opportunity, the signs of learning and wisdom. I am truth, confidence, creativity, love. This is the power to accept. Feel the power.
Okay, so thank you so much once again for your time, and sorry to keep you waiting with more 8-9 minutes.
Okay, it's okay. Thank you, everyone. Really loved being with all of you. Have a wonderful day ahead. Om Shanti. Thank you. Thank you.